Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I will be discussing the powers and abilities of Tony Stark, the invincible Iron Man. Tony Stark, genius, billionaire, founding member of the Avengers, and one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel Universe. Tony Stark is the undisputed master of machines. Reed Richards said that Tony Stark is the world's greatest multitasker and builder. He also described Tony as a man from the future stuck in the past. Tony's mind gives him the ability to give himself pretty much any superpower he can imagine. Over the years, Tony Stark has worn many different suits. He has created deep space armors, Phoenix Busters, Hulk Busters, Thor Busters, God Busters. He even created a Fin Fang Foom Buster. Yes, Tony Stark has his own personal Megazord. So in this video, I will not be describing every single one. I will just be doing an overview of what the average Iron Man armor is capable of. But to start off, I will be describing what the man under the armor, Tony Stark, is capable of. Due to Tony's super intelligence, Tony can multitask and do several different things at the same time. So when he was a young man, it was hard for him to find challenges for himself. So he became addicted to extreme sports and challenges such as skydiving, hang gliding, and skiing. Tony became obsessed with being as good at everything as he could possibly be. Tony also has a naturally tall, muscular build, allowing him to be able to be good at all these extreme sports. Tony's highly trained physique is what allows him to pilot his Iron Man armors properly, keeping himself strong and flexible for his battles. Also related to his trained physique is his fighting ability, which Tony was trained by Captain America himself, making him an expert combatant. Most of the time, Tony does battle in his armors, but when it comes to hand, Tony is extremely formidable. Notable fights include taking down several alien gladiators in unarmed combat, going toe-to-toe with Madame Hydra, and once, when Tony was captured by Skrulls while on a secret mission with the Illuminati, Tony's armor was taken from him. At this point in Tony's history, he still needed his chest plate to keep the shrapnel from reaching his heart. So while Tony was enduring extreme chest pain, he was able to take down an entire squad of Skrulls that were pretending to be the Avengers. Then he took one of the Skrulls' firearms and was able to shoot his way out of the prison to find the other Illuminati members and rescued them all. This brings up the point that Tony is very skilled in the use of firearms, even alien firearms, as he did the same thing when he escaped prison with the Guardians of the Galaxy. On numerous occasions when Tony did not have use of his armor, he has used firearms in battle. Tony is also skilled in using a grappling hook. He's also good at rope swinging. Tony is good at several different hard physical tasks. He also has very quick reflexes and nerve, allowing him to be a race car driver. He has casually won a race car race. All these skills are what give him what he needs to pilot the Iron Man armor. On top of all this, Tony has a very sharp wit and is a tactical genius. Tony Stark was able to beat Reed Richards at chess on multiple boards at the same time. It was a game that Richards has been playing since childhood, and Tony only picked it up in adulthood to understand his enemy Obadiah Stane, who was obsessed with the game. And after Tony beat Richards, Reed was in complete shock. Captain America, the greatest battle strategist in the Marvel Universe, said that Tony was a brilliant tactician. This is why Tony has successfully led the Avengers in battles several times, and he has been the official leader of several different Avengers teams. Tony was even the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a time. Tony's leadership qualities stem from his time as a driven businessman, to be able to motivate multiple people to work towards one common goal. Tony isn't just a good leader because of his amazing mind and skills. When Tony isn't dealing with world-ending threats, He's actually quite friendly. Tony is a charming person. He knows how to appeal to people not only on a logical level, but also an emotional one, and he genuinely cares about other people. In Tony's time as director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he got rid of the officer's special lounge on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier to replace it with a daycare center so S.H.I.E.L.D. agents can visit their children on board. Tony would also directly intervene in S.H.I.E.L.D. operations that he was overseeing, as he did not value his own life over any of the ground troops. Now it's time to discuss Stark's mind. Tony Stark is first and foremost the greatest weapons designer in the Marvel Universe. He is also the complete and total utter master of machines. Any technology, robotics, engineering, he is the best. Let's take a look at some of the things he's designed. Tony once created a multiversal tracking device. He created the Helios laser, a weapon that fires hard light that was powerful enough to reduce the immortal Hulk to nothing but a skeleton. Tony created a weapon called Soul's Hammer. It was a device in space capable of absorbing the energy from the sun and turning it into a very powerful blast of energy. Tony had designed it to be able to destroy entire planets for a just-in-case scenario. He ended up using it to destroy an entire armada of an invading alien race. On the planet that the villain Archon comes from, there is no sun to give light to the world. There were only energy rings which surrounded the world to give it light. These rings went out. So to help the planet, Tony created a device that would channel the mystic lightning from Thor's hammer into creating new energy rings to give the planet light. Tony has also created numerous AIs, robots, aero cars for the Avengers, personal flying cars for himself, communications systems, and numerous satellites and space stations. Tony can also create strong fortifications and security systems. Tony Stark owns Area 51, and there he installed many security systems, such as DNA scanners, retinal scanners, and scanners to see if whether or not you're a shape-shifting Skrull. Tony is also very good at biology, as he was able to create an armor that came out of his skin and was completely bonded to him biologically. Tony always makes sure he is completely and totally prepared for everything. That is why he always makes sure that there is a standing Avengers team, and that is why he was at one point a member of the Illuminati, a secret group of the most powerful and influential heroes in the Marvel Universe. And of course, the most important way Tony prepares for things is what he puts inside the designs of his armors. Tony makes sure every part of his armors are designed to absolute perfection. What originally made Tony's armor so powerful were his transistors. This goes back to Tony's classic origin. Tony's transistors were essentially miniaturized power cells. He could apply them to any device and increase its power tenfold. He was able to increase the magnetic power of a household magnet to the point where it could rip a vault door in half. While overseeing a weapons test in the field, Tony was hit by an explosion, which lodged several pieces of shrapnel near his heart. Tony was then captured by a terrorist and was forced to build weapons. But instead, he designed an iron chest plate which had a magnet which was powered by his transistors, which could keep the shrapnel from reaching his heart. Tony then designed a whole iron suit to go with it, to plan his escape from the terrorists. Tony was able to escape using various amounts of gadgets and his bulletproof, and he used what he called his reverse magnetism abilities to be able to repel things like grenades. When Tony returned home and was inspired to use his Iron Man persona to protect the world, he painted his armor gold to look more like a hero. And all through the armor lied transistors. making the armor ultra powerful. But eventually, a supervillain called the Melter was able to destroy Tony's armor, so he upgraded and created a streamlined version. Tony took a major leap here. Not only was the armor lightweight and maneuverable, but it was also much stronger than his old armor. He also didn't have to completely put the armor on by hand anymore. The gold parts were made out of a microscopic metal mesh, in which were magnetically drawn up from the glove onto the armpit, and so from his calves to the top of his thighs. Eventually, Tony created an armor that could do this even faster, and the classic Iron Man was born. The flexible gold parts, making his joints be able to move better and faster. And most importantly, he had a streamlined and improved way of controlling the armor that he has kept throughout his entire career ever since. Tony has control over his armor mentally. The armor's helmet has built-in cybernetic scanners which can scan Tony's brainwaves and read his commands, so he can control his armor with mere thoughts and instantaneous responses. Now, for the powers of the Iron Man armor itself. We'll start with flight speed. Tony's armors can easily break the sound barrier in mere seconds. He is capable of easily traveling at Mach 10. Tony can even push his armors to the point where he can reach orbit in mere seconds. We can see him do it here when he grabs Terrax from the street level and flies him up into space and through a satellite. Tony also did the same thing, where he picked up one of his rogue armors and flew it into space. Now to describe the durability levels of Iron Man's armors. Tony has bonded the materials of his armors down to the molecular level to make them as strong as possible. The hammer had a giant floating fortress in the water, until Tony was able to fly through it like a missile, utterly sinking it. Tony's armors make him powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe, and take several hits from Thor's hammer, the Incredible Hulk, and Sentry. Tony's armor was even able to survive a close-range nuclear blast. On top of the armor's massive durability, it can also produce force fields, capable of protecting him from nuclear blasts and Doctor Doom's magic. Tony can make large force fields or small personal force fields to protect him from numerous threats. Tony's armors grant him absolutely massive levels of super strength. His armors are strong enough to harm Sentry and other massively powerful people like Hercules and Thor. Tony's armors can even lift up submarines. While building up speed by flying across New York City, Tony was able to knock out a fully enraged She-Hulk with a single blow. Even Iron Man's very primitive armors can pick up and toss around giant monsters, and even fly with them. Here Tony was able to pick up a very large nuclear reactor and fly with it through the air and throw it into the ocean. And, most famously, by mentally commanding all of the power in his suit to go into his fist, Tony straight up one-shotted the Incredible Hulk and knocked him out cold. Afterwards, Tony's armor was completely fried, but he still got the job done. Now to describe Tony's weapon systems. We'll start with his most famous weapon, his repulsor rays. Iron Man's repulsors are a concentrated, devastating beam of energy. Tony can shoot it with pinpoint accuracy and concentrated fire, or he can shoot them in a widespread blast, and powerful straight beams like this. The repulsors can also be fired in a full form version for a 360-degree blast radius. He can also use them to just shoot beams of force, to do things like keep a building from falling over. Tony's repulsors are strong enough to dig a trench half the size of the Grand Canyon, and probably more. They are also capable of destroying mountaintops. And of course, they can unleash devastating damage to very strong opponents, like giant dragons and other beings like Hulk and Thor. Tony also possesses highly advanced targeting systems inside his armor, allowing him to be able to rapidly hit multiple targets with his repulsor rays accurately. Tony can also produce small blasts out of the tips of his finger to be able to do things like seal up gaps or cut things. Tony can also unleash devastating energy beams from his chest in the form of his unibeam. At only 50% power, Tony was able to break through Graviton's gravity force field. Tony's chest plate can also generate intense heat beams and a searchlight. Tony's armors also have a weapon called pulse bolts, in which they fire distinct pill-shaped blasts that as they travel distance over time, they become more powerful, delivering a punch to the enemy. Tony's armor's magnetism powers allow him to be able to manipulate large pieces of metal. Tony was able to summon these two robots to him, having them shatter on his armor. Tony's magnetism powers also allow him to be able to duke it out with Magneto and make him immune to his powers. Tony can also emit sonic waves as an easy, non-lethal way of subduing enemies, like how here we can see him disperse this street gang. Tony's armors also usually include an energy blade. Tony's armors have numerous amounts of missiles and smart mines as well. Tony's armors include numerous other gadgets, like wires that can come out and hack computers and 3D holographic projections, DNA recognition systems, voice recognition systems, and 3D environmental scans. Tony's armors also record everything that he sees and hears. Newer armors can even record his own memories and thoughts. Tony's armors are also always hooked up to global communications networks. The final very important ability that Iron Man's armors have is the ability to absorb and redirect massive amounts of energy, like Tony does here, when he absorbs Monica Rambeau's energy and shoots it back at her. And he does the same thing here by absorbing Thor's lightning to increase his armor's strength tenfold, then punching Thor through several pillars. This ability allows Tony to do special team moves with Thor, like having Thor shoot his godly energies through Tony's armor, and Tony can expertly and accurately shoot it out. All of Tony's power and ambition oftentimes leads him into conflict with others like him, like his evil opposite, Dr. Doom, who wants to take over the world instead of protect it. And oftentimes, because of their power and genius, they have to team up, because Dr. Doom wants to rule the world, not have it be destroyed. Iron Man has many other rivalries and frenemy relationships, like Hulk, the mighty Thor, King T'Challa the Black Panther, Carol Danvers, and, most famously, with Captain America. Due to all the stress that Tony's intense life causes him, he is sometimes overcome by intense self-doubt and stress. At one point, Tony was driven over the edge because his armor was hacked and it caused him to murder someone. So to cope with this, Tony began drinking a lot until the point where he became addicted. Tony struggled with his addiction for a while, until the point where he was able to become sober, and he had to fight the greatest battle in all his life. It wasn't in his armor, and it wasn't against a supervillain. It all came down to his choice: the drink or the dream. To be there for the people that he cared about, or to only be there for himself. Tony chose the dream. Since then, Tony has sworn off drinking, but he still struggles with the temptation constantly. But he never gives in, because he knows that people need him. Once, while Tony's friend Sentry was dealing with anxiety issues, this was during the superhuman Civil War, and Tony told Sentry that in intense situations like this, it makes him want to drink. But he doesn't do it because he knows that there's a whole world counting on him. Oftentimes people mistake Tony's ambition for arrogance, but deep down he's a true hero. Once, while some of Tony's armors were hacked, and they were attacking the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, a large armor got a hold of Captain America's skull and was going to crush it in his vice grip. Tony didn't have the right equipment to shut it down. But at this point in time, all of Tony's armor systems were connected directly to his biology. So if he could shut himself down, all of his armors would shut down as well. So Tony stopped his own heart to keep Steve's heart beating. Throughout Tony's life, he has dealt with several physical problems, like shrapnel in his chest, but also, once Tony was shot, and it caused him to lose his ability to walk. So, for a time, Tony was confined to a wheelchair. Tony was brought low. It was hard for him, as all his life he has always been strong. Then he came to a breaking point. He couldn't come up with a cure for himself. But he realized there was still something he could do for other people. So he went in his lab and designed an armor that allowed him to walk. I'll say that again. He could only walk in his armor. He could only walk using the tool that is designed to help other people and not himself. After doing many good deeds as Iron Man, eventually a genius doctor discovered a cure and was able to heal Tony's spine, and he was able to walk again and return to normal life. To quote Tony himself, he once said, "I went from being a man trapped in an iron suit to being a man freed by one." All of Tony's experiences made him realize what he was made of, that the man underneath the armor is what makes him invincible. Well, now you know Tony Stark, the Invincible Iron Man, and you know that only Tony can rock an 80s mullet like this. Thanks for watching. Until next time.